This year, we are celebrating the 20th anniversary of our temple here in Chapel Hill. Yay. 20 years ago, when we found this location, there was a horse farm right next to the temple's little garden. I remember pulling with along the fence with the neighbor, and then horses sometimes came nearby, becoming my company. Then we are told that horses are very sensitive to the sound of traffic when folks drive in and out. So, hoping to be a friendly and thoughtful neighbor, we planted trees and bushes like crazy along the property lines, many layers to create a natural acoustic buffer for the horses. I remember planting tea olive trees, which is known as osmanthus with fragrance, my favorite bush. The flowers blossom about 4 or 5 times a year. And I hoped that beautiful fragrant, the smell will cover up the smell of the horse poop. In 2020, we purchased the horse farm to expand our garden. The trees and bushes we had planted before had grown and blocked the view of the new garden. For the past 4 years, we have been trimming and transplanting those same trees to uncover the visual flow of the expanded garden. Over the years, each tree and bush in the temple garden has become like a child to me. If any one of them is struggling, we transplant it to a better place. One of the maple trees we planted in honor of Mark's brother has been moved. How many times? 3 times. And now that tree is finally happy and flourishing. Learning the nature of all the plants, I often check on them, adding more soil and giving fertilizer, compost, and water as needed. If there is any struggle for any reason, I contemplate on what is the best way to help each tree. In my mind and heart, I scan the garden and contemplate how all the trees and bushes grow independently, yet in harmony. In a similar way, in my mind and heart, I try to understand the needs and nature of each practitioner in our temple community. Every day, my brain works to create a database to help me remain sensitive to the needs of those in our community. Steve might benefit from more decluttering or by taking our intro class. Nate sometimes seems to be stuck in a bubble of non-duality. What to do to help him transcend? For Linda, a week-long retreat might be really beneficial. For Jason, working in the garden could help him to let go of his busy thoughts. I'm thinking of inviting Polly for tea and a one-on-one meeting just to check in. I'm often amazed by the capacity of my mind to contain the concerns of so many Dharma friends, way more than the actual number of trees and plants in our garden. It is lucky that we have kind helpers willing to care for the temple garden. It is an even greater blessing to have Dharma friends with well-established practice roots who are willing to guide and nourish others. This is the power of Sangha. What does Sangha mean? Sangha. The Pali word Sangha means association, assembly, or community. The Sangha originated when the Buddha's disciples renounced the worldly life to listen to his teachings and travel to different regions with him. After the Buddha's death, his disciples continued to live together as a community, a Sangha. Nowadays, the meaning of Sangha has expanded to include any group of friends who practice together. A Sangha is like a flowing river. One drop of water by itself cannot reach the ocean. Alone, it will evaporate. Only when many drops of water become a flowing river can each drop reach the ocean. Likewise, we journey together as a community to reach ultimate realization and liberation. Over time, our temple garden has grown stronger and more vibrant as the roots of trees become established, absorbing nutrients. Our Sangha has likewise flourished as practitioners put down roots and settle in, absorbing wisdom and inspiration and connecting with one another. One of the beauties of a temple is that practitioners have opportunities to share their knowledge and experiences in talks, thus becoming teachers. The Dharma talks shared by temple brothers and sisters are amazingly insightful and heartwarming. In this process, one tradition I deeply value is each speaker sharing their draft with me or with other reverends before their final presentation. Most of the time, I don't need to give much feedback, but I genuinely appreciate their willingness to consult because it shows openness to further consideration and revision. This is a significant practice in letting go of one's ego and those inner voices insisting it's fine just the way it is. I know what I am doing. I don't like to be judged. The feedback loop practitioners experience when they create Dharma talks begins with a discovery, writing, polishing, and ends with reflections after the actual presentation. Rod, who recently shared this talk, "Everything I know about gratitude was wrong," came to me and asked, "Reverend WonGong, were my conclusions correct? Was the Dharma correct? What can I do to improve my presentation in the future?" The ability to give and receive feedback is essential for our spiritual growth. When we open our hearts and minds with the humility for constructive feedback that benefits not only individuals, but also the entire community. Chapter 3, Practice. The founding teacher of Won Buddhism, Sotaesan, said, "People who are learning a skill must have their skills evaluated by their teachers. People who are engaged in the study of the way must have their acts assessed by their teachers. If those who are learning a skill do not have that skill evaluated, their skill will not be a precise skill. If those who are engaged in the study of the way, Tao, do not have the rightness or wrongness of their acts assessed, their practice will not be a practice that focuses on what is essential. Thus, he continued, the reason I constantly evaluate the quality of your practice in both human affairs and universal principles is because I wish to help you avoid a convoluted path and instead walk the straight path. If you're uncomfortable about receiving evaluations from me or are discontented being told about the quality of your practice, you must ask, what was your original intent in coming to me to learn? And how do you expect to proceed? Sotaesan continued, and not only from me, but appropriate advice and criticism from anyone are precious guidelines for the road ahead. If you harbor resentment toward a benefactor who has helped to open the road ahead for you, then wouldn't you be manifesting ingratitude? Thus, you must be thankful to anyone in this world who evaluates you as doing either well or poorly. End quote. The essence of Sotaesan's words is that we should be open to receiving constructive feedback regarding our performance and progress. What do you think? He said, quote, the reason I constantly evaluate the quality of your practice in both human affairs and universal principles is because, do you remember what he said? I wish to help you avoid a convoluted path and instead walk the straight path. What did he mean by this? The quality of our practice in human affairs can mean how we conduct ourselves in everyday life. The quality of our practice in universal principles can mean how clearly we understand the great and the small, being and non-being, which are essential principles in One Buddhism. The conclusion we can draw from Sotaesan's quote is that evaluation of one's skills by teachers or members of the community is vital to one's spiritual practice. This keeps us honest and humble. By letting go of our ego-driven defensiveness, we open ourselves to beneficial guidance. At last Thursday Dharma study session, a friend questioned the group, have you ever checked on or evaluated by Reverend WonGong? Another friend asked me, Reverend WonGong, we are concerned that you are so busy that if we all came to you for evaluation, you might not get anything important done. To this I replied, the most important thing I do is Q&A time I spend with our Sangha members. We all benefit from this exchange. I welcome any of you who wish your practice to be evaluated, or you can simply check in with me at any time. I may not have all the right answers, or I may not be the greatest guide, but I will listen intently with respect, honoring your openness and willingness to grow and learn. In the principal book of One Buddhism, we are encouraged to make good use of temple visits. The scripture says, if you have awakened to some matter, be heedful to report that awakening to a spiritual mentor to obtain their appraisal. If you encounter a matter that raises a special doubt, be heedful to submit it to a spiritual mentor to gain the awakening of understanding. We have 55 friends here in person. And Nick, how many friends online today? 45. We have 100 Buddhas listening to this Dharma. And I want to ask you, how many times have you come to the temple? Being here can feel good and peaceful. But there are more opportunities here than just the opportunity to feel good and peaceful. You can go a step further. You can check in with me or any respected mentor to obtain their appraisal of your practice. By actively examining your awakenings or doubts and giving voice to those observations, you can gain valuable insights into your spiritual development. Checking in with the teachers and mentors and requesting feedback is a key way to strengthen our practice. Just like trees in our temple garden, we all benefit from observation and sharing and from some pruning, fertilizing, and watering from time to time. With the courage, when we are able to receive and give honest, constructive feedback, we are practicing in a healthy community. Some friends ask me, Reverend WonGong, on this 20th anniversary year, what is your vision for the future of this temple? I often say, a healthy, loving, transparent Sangha community with the genuine practitioners who are deeply rooted in Dharma and growing with open minds and daily practice. In our Sangha Garden, we learn to care for each other with trust and faith. And in so doing, we all flourish. That's how our garden grows.